Hey everybody, well you know who I am. Uh, okay, I really don't have much to really talk about, except I'm just gonna talk about some mindless crap. But anyways, I was just, beginning to whole think about this whole, DLC thing and why everybody's mad. And yeah, DLC started out in PCs, but mostly DLCs were free. Nowadays, you have to pay for it, and I guess one of the major things that people don't understand is DLC. I think started. Well, actually, expansion packs started in consoles all the way back in Nintendo 64 with F Zero. If you remember, there was supposed to be no, there was supposed to be an add-on to the game to the Nintendo 64, I think, which allowed you to put in a disc. And F Zero had an expansion pack, but since the Nintendo 64 DD died in Japan, I mean the expansion pack was made, but was never released in the United States. I mean, in the United States or in the U.S. or Canada. And so yeah, those were the first expansion packs I believe on consoles. As far as expansion packs on PCs, my best recollection is most likely StarCraft, but I think there were earlier games, but I don't know. But then I believe DLC's first DLC console. I mean, the console that had you allowed you to download DLCs. I think mainly for free was the Sega Dreamcast, which died because of the PlayStation 2 making a DVD player and undercutting it by a large amount. And of course, the Sega Dreamcast, somewhat of a copy of the Apple Pippin. Yes, the Apple Pippin didn't really have a hard drive, I don't think. I think it did, but I don't know. Of course, the Apple Pippin did have a built-in modem as well. Of course, you had to use an extending jack to get it to access the modem. And I know this because I had Macs that had the exact same expanding jack for it. But you could, get an external modem jack and put it in there, which would also work. I don't know why Apple went with that design, but they seem to have shoved it in a lot of their Macs back then. It was weird. Of course, I think I don't know if there was another console that had a hard drive, but I think Sega was the first one with a hard drive. And of course, the Apple Pippin I think has the exact same kind of memory that the Nintendo Wii and the upcoming Wii U, or whatever the hell they decided to rename it, will also have. That being internal flash memory. And the reason why I know this is because A, I'm in my 30s, and B, I've had Macs since forever. And Apple was doing that same exact design with most of their basic Macs. And I remember this because somebody way back then wanted to show me the inside of one of these, and it was basically a square, like gray box with two jacks in the front, one for the modem, one for the Ethernet line, and the other for the regular phone. And of course, the long wire in which you jack into the back. And he just basically popped it open, which, unfortunately for those things, you can never reseal, as they were permanent. And it was basically just two jacks connecting together, put into a wire, and then had no real purpose. The Pippin and all the Macs basically had that all same functionality, but basically the rest of the modem was inside the Mac. But you can also plug in a external modem onto that same socket, and it wouldn't make a difference. It just would say, okay, the external modem's now the new modem. Blah blah blah. The problem is that this whole pay for DLC came from two companies, Xbox and EA, especially EA. They were the ones who basically pushed for it. Activision, well, went along with it, as of always. But this whole, DLC, And it's funny because everybody keeps blaming blames like PC gaming is responsible, and then other people say it's the Xbox that's responsible. The problem is that the people who are mostly responsible is technically Microsoft. Why? Well, essentially, Microsoft owns the basically they own the entire desktop gaming world as well as the and now they're starting to control the console gaming world, and they're the ones who are responsible for putting DLC on the desktop as well as making you pay for DLC on, well, Xbox Live, and it's all owned by just one company. But yet every other company is somewhat responsible to, Samuel, except for the people who were actually enforced endorsed it, shall we say. And let's not also forget that Microsoft also owns gaming developing companies who also delivered DLC, Halo, and a few other games that used to be popular back in the PC day. And now everybody's all saying, "Oh, console gaming's dying. Console gaming is dying," and I guess Sam, who's attacking Nintendo, is, well, he isn't quite there, but he's getting extremely close to just yelling, "Console gaming is dead." The thing is, I've seen this before where more people are emphasizing on more PC gaming and less on consoles. And this happens a lot, especially after 7 years when a console's been around. It just gets old, stale, and tiring. And this also happened with the PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, the Super NES, and all of that. This goes all the way back even with the regular NES. It's just that when the console just gets too old, more and more people end up going for the PC markets, and they end up liking the PC markets until, the new consoles come out. And especially happens after 7 years. I don't know why it happens, but it just seems to happen. Except maybe the first generation where all the consoles were nothing more than just, Pong players or Pong clones. And of course, the second generation after the second generation is when Apple and Windows really, started to glow out and help cause the great computer crash of 1983, along with the help of Atari, who just were being assholes to everybody. And basically, what happened was Apple and Microsoft's graphics or PC in general's graphics just got a lot more better, and that's when PCs started to have better graphics than gaming consoles. Before then, gaming consoles had better graphics than PCs. But we are talking about 1970 though, and 1980. Well, late 70s, early 80s. As of right now, the United States only has one gaming console, Xbox 360, and basically, in order not to be a monopoly, um, it needs a competitor, at least one or two. Two's more preferable than just one competitor. But yeah, keep screaming that anti-Nintendo stuff and seeing how Sony can't even make a decent console to save their own lives. Microsoft might end up being the only console left, and then when that happens, Monopoly trial time happens, and of course, Microsoft ain't gonna survive a second Monopoly trial. There's no fucking way in hell. I mean, they were already found guilty the first time. Oh well, that's all I have to say.